This episode of the podcast is brought to you by NatureBox. NatureBox is the official snack provider for the Joe Rogan Experience. I'm eating dark cocoa nom noms right now, and they are fucking delicious. I get a box of NatureBox every week, and I get very happy when it shows up. I got shit like dried California peaches. Yum, yum, yum. Sweet blueberry almonds. Ooh. I got jalapeno cashews, a new one for this week. I like it. Not as much as I like sriracha cashews, though, which are also right here. Baked cheddar potato fries. Delicious, yummy, natural snacks with zero trans fats and zero high fructose corn syrup. And they will send them to you every week. You'll find snacks that are low in sugar and non-GMO and without gluten, if you like. They will ship for free. And it's a much, much, much better option for folks who work in an office and you're stuck dealing with that nonsense that is the vending machine. You know that stuff in there is all dog shit. And if you're lucky, they have peanuts. If you're lucky, but most likely you're not. And you're certainly not going to get the kind of variety and ease of getting them that you get if you sign up for NatureBox. Free delivery. Go to naturebox.com right now, and you're going to get 50% off your month's first box. That's naturebox.com/Rogan. naturebox.com/Rogan. Delicious, yummy snacks that are guilt-free. And they have a lot of variety, folks. I got about 30 different things here right now. Lemon almond biscotti bites. Yum, yum, yum. Garlic plantains. Healthy, guilt-free snacks. naturebox.com/Rogan. Go and enjoy. We're also brought to you by ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter is an excellent way for people that are hiring to find the best candidates. Posting your job in one place just isn't enough to find quality candidates. And if you want to find the perfect hire, you need to post your job on all the top job sites. And now you can quickly and easily with ZipRecruiter.com. You can post your job to 50 plus job sites, including Craigslist, LinkedIn, and Twitter with a single click. Find candidates in any city or industry nationwide. Just post once and watch your qualified candidates roll in to ZipRecruiter's easy-to-use interface. No juggling emails or calls to your office. Quickly screen candidates, rate them, and hire the right person fast. Find out today why ZipRecruiter has been used by over 200,000 businesses. And right now, my listeners can post jobs on ZipRecruiter for free by going to ZipRecruiter.com/Rogan. That is ZipRecruiter.com/Rogan. Go there and post for free. ZipRecruiter.com/Rogan. Go there, you fucks, and enjoy. And hire the best person for the job in an easy way. Another example of how the internet makes your life better. Another example is MeUndies.com. I am right now wearing MeUndies. It is the most comfortable underwear that I have ever used. I used to just go to a store and buy a package of random no-name underwear. I didn't give a fuck. And usually my dick would creep out that front hole, that inexplicable front hole. Old saggy underwear is not good to have, folks. And a lot of times it's just one of those things you just don't take care of it. It's not that underwear are prohibitively expensive and that's why you're not buying good underwear. It's something that has escaped your consciousness. You're just not thinking about it. And you need to know about MeUndies.com because they are the most comfortable underwear I have ever worn in my life. I am converted. Never gave a shit about underwear before. Most people, ready for this? The average time that a man keeps his underwear is 7 years. What the fuck is that? You can't keep 7 years of farts going through underwear and expect them to hold up. It's not fair, and you should just upgrade your underwear, folks. Just those 7-year ones, light them on fire, okay? Don't do that. You might light your house on fire. Don't listen to me. Listen, just throw them away. You don't need fire, okay? Go and Go to meundies.com and check out all the pics of the different styles of underwear. And for the gals, check out the hot-looking boy shorts. Whatever that means. Gals? Hot-looking boy shorts? I guess for girls, like, go. Men and women, high-quality materials for your high-quality underwear, if you know what I mean. Keep your package draped in high-quality stuff. Wicks away moisture. Like they fit perfectly. They don't ride up on you. They actually pull moisture away from your skin, so you're cool all day long. Most comfortable underwear you could ever get, folks. And you get 20% off if you go to meundies.com/Rogan. That's meundies.com/Rogan and get 20% off your first order. Yeah. And free shipping. meundies.com/Rogan. And last but not least, we're brought to you by Onnit.com. That is ONNIT. Onnit is a human optimization website, and we aim to sell you the very best in strength and conditioning equipment, in supplements, and in healthy foods. Foods that you can use to get your freak on and keep your body and mind tuned the fuck in for success. Go to Onnit.com, ONNIT. Use the code word Rogan, and you will save 10% off any and all supplements. My guest today is Thaddeus Russell, and Thaddeus Russell is a historian and culture critic. His book, A Renegade History of the United States, is highly praised throughout the land and is quite fascinating, and he's a very controversial and unique look on American history. ThaddeusRussell.com is his website, and he is Thaddeus Russell on Twitter. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Thaddeus Russell.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
Train by day, Joe Rogan podcast by night, all day.
Mr. Russell.
Hey.
Thank you very much for doing this, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
It's we were saying right before the podcast got started, it's always a weird thing when people sit down. It's like you don't want to talk too much because there's so much to say on the air. You don't want to get it out before you get to air. But I was saying it's appropriate having you on today because we're just now going to war with Syria.
Right.
And we were just talking about how bizarre this ISIS thing is and how it's just American people said, we don't want to go to war with Syria. It was this big thing, and Obama was on television. Everybody just openly rejected it, left and right. It was pretty much the American public was like, we're done with war. Like, we want to get out of Afghanistan. We don't want this Iraq thing anymore. We don't want to go to Syria. And so everything just sort of calmed down. And then all of a sudden, ISIS rose up from the ashes, and this ISIS thing, different names, ISIS. I've seen it ISIL,
right?
Yeah, and like I was saying, I don't like to get conspiracy oriented because it's so easy to do. But if you wanted to, you would say, well, this is obviously they've come up with a mechanism to get us into Syria.
Yeah, sure. I mean, so there's two kinds of conspiracies. There's an open conspiracy, and then there's a closed conspiracy, right? So I think this is sort of an open conspiracy. A lot of people are saying, both left and right, by the way, that ISIS was really a creation of American foreign policy. Not that there were a bunch of dudes sitting in a room in the White House with cigars and saying, hey, we need to create this monster in order to sort of impose American will abroad, but that through many, many conscious decisions over many years in the Middle East, through direct interventions militarily and otherwise, they created the conditions for this bunch of psychopathic 20-year-olds with RPGs and swords beheading people, right? So, creating a vacuum in Iraq, right, by going to war there, by removing the dictator who was at least holding control over the people and over people like this, funding the rebels in Syria, and also, more importantly, a lot of people miss this, one of the things that's been happening, if you look at it just from a material standpoint, over the last 12 years at least, is that the United States has been flooding that area with weapons, right? So, and if you look at, there's a great piece, I think it was in The Guardian a few weeks ago, ISIS is using American-made weapons, right, that have been coming into that region, mostly into Iraq, but elsewhere for just decades, right? So it creates this situation where sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy, sort of an open conspiracy, because you could certainly say that American foreign policymakers and all of them really, and that's Bush and that's Obama and that's all of them, really want to have an American presence, a military presence around the world, and in particular in the Middle East where all the oil is. So, it's not that I'm not saying it was deliberate it wasn't a deliberate choice to create this beast that's called ISIS, but it certainly serves their purposes.
And it seems like if you look at the entire situation in the Middle East, it seems like there's no good way to just get out of there. It seems like, is there? I mean, please tell me. Do you think there's a way to...
Yeah, so I'm an out now guy.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that was the answer in Vietnam, right? That's what the anti-Vietnam War called for many, many years, was out now, not a gradual withdrawal, which is what the politicians called for because that's the, quote, responsible thing to do, but out now. And I think history proves that was the correct answer to that, right? I think that if the United States had left immediately in 1964, 65, name a year, name a time, it would have been a better thing for everyone. Now, the communists would have taken control of Vietnam, but they did anyway, right? And so what we had was, instead of about 2 million people, mostly civilians, die, right? We would have had far fewer. We would have had the same outcome essentially, but with far fewer. And then also, and we got to talk about blowback, right? Mm-hmm. So, the carpet bombing of not just Vietnam, but several countries during that war caused untold numbers of people to hate our fucking guts, right? America's guts. And that, that's blowback, right? They didn't come and fly airplanes into our buildings, but, it was anti-American in many ways. And it also served, and here's a very important thing, it served the interests of the goddamn communists, right? Because the communists could say, look at these barbarians coming here and killing our children and women, right? You should support us. We will protect you from them. So it actually played into the hands of the communists. And the very same thing is happening and has been happening in the Middle East for many, many years. David Petraeus, of all people, said before the Senate about 3 years ago, he said, U.S. funding of Israel in particular, U.S. funding of all these corrupt regimes in the Middle East, and our interventions is the number one recruiting tool for Al-Qaeda, right? And it's the number one recruiting tool for ISIS. They say, look, here's these infidels who have been invading us and killing our people and taking control of our resources for decades, right? We will fight back for you, right? And so it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you want to maintain a presence there, which they do, the United States does, you keep creating your own enemies to fight against. It's perpetual.
So is there anything that can be done to mitigate the disastrous effects of us pulling out and creating this power vacuum? Is there anything that can be done? I mean, once we're already there, we can't go back in time. We can't stop the Iraq invasion. It would be nice if we could. Pretty much no one thinks it's a good idea now. Today, in hindsight, everyone thinks it was a terrible idea. The only good that came out of it was getting Saddam Hussein out, getting rid of his psychopathic sons. But now look at all the shit you have there, and you have 1 million people dead.
Right. So the anti-interventionist argument is simply that pretty much every intervention has a negative consequence.
Right.
So the less the better.
Right.
So my position is let's do none, right?
But when you have a guy like a Hitler or someone along those lines that's causing genocide and planning to take over the world, and
so for Hitler, right? There's a large stream of thought among historians, a very respectable stream of thought, that the Nazis rose to power out of conditions created by the Allies after World War I. So that, extracting all these resources through forced payments from the Germans as reparations after World War I really laid the groundwork for the rise of this totalitarian who said, hey, look what those Westerners did to us. They decimated this country. They shamed us. They brought us into shame and degradation. We need a strong, powerful leader. We need discipline. We need order. We need to get rid of these foreign influences like Jews, who were considered to be foreign, right, in essence, because they were a nationless people, and the communists who had allegiance to no state, right? And so many people have argued, not just wacko conspiracy theorists, that it was actually American and Western foreign policy in the early 20th century that really made the rise of Nazism possible. Like, that's possibly the greatest example of blowback in human history.
That's a crazy example of blowback. It seems like it's a perpetual cycle then. It seems like everything we've ever done in the past has led us to do more things in the future to combat the blowback from the things we've done in the past. And
yeah, so I mean, if you look at the history of foreign policy, and by the way, that's the book I'm working on now, So this is a very appropriate topic for me. You will see, beginning really even in the early 18th century, late 18th century with some of the founding fathers, but certainly through the 19th century and certainly through the 20th century, one continuous thread among policymakers, which is we must change the world in our image, right? I mean, that's been bipartisan. It's been the left. It's been the right. It's been, the liberals and the conservatives. It's been the Democrats and the Republicans for centuries now. We must have America abroad. Now, not everyone agreed with that. There were people in the Senate who were sort of isolationists or anti-interventionists, but there's been a near consensus among American politicians for about 2 centuries that we should expand what is great about America, and unfortunately that has meant killing a lot of people.
Well, that's what everyone's terrified of with the Islamic State, is that they want to impose Sharia law throughout the rest of the world. Right. I mean, that's what everyone's afraid of. The religion of America, what we subscribe to versus the religion of Sharia law.
Yeah, so I have an answer for that.
Okay.
Yeah, so good luck, motherfuckers, imposing Sharia law on the whole world, right? And so a lot of what my work is on now, and I'm not the only one who's done this, is to look at what's actually going on, in places like Tehran and in places like Riyadh and in places like Cairo,